All right, everyone. Welcome to Brandon at Random Reviews, covering one unsystematically chosen movie at a time. Today, the movie is Idiocracy, released on September 1st, 2006, directed by Mike Judge. For the cast, we have Luke Wilson as Joe, Maya Rudolph as Rita, Dax Shepard as Frito, and Terry Crews as President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho. For the plot synopsis, an army librarian in 2005 is selected for a suspended animation experiment and wakes up 500 years later in an uneducated and devolved wasteland. Alright, guys, let's just dive right into this motherfucking movie. The way they set up this movie is pretty amazing. Voiceover explains the way stupid people reproduced more, while smart people were more reluctant to bring children into the world over time, and slowly, stupidity took over. Mike Judge has a remarkable way of writing a movie that follows a straight man, played by actors who are often in comedies but are not typically a major source of humor in those movies. Ron Livingston in Office Space and Jason Bateman in Extract. Okay, so those are the only other two live-action movies that Mike Judge has directed, but they're both spectacular. Honestly, this movie is like a masterclass in deliberately ham-fisted satire. In this future we are presented with, there's overpopulation, poor management of waste, corporate interests and advertising have taken over, and all innovation focuses on the superficial. The main plot of this film centers around resolving an issue with droughts and poor crop growth due to replacing most water supply with a sports drink called Brawndo. Our protagonist Joe must adapt to a future full of morons who talk like a combination of all of America's trashiest dialects and accents. Everyone considers Joe's normal speaking voice to be effeminate, and they mock him constantly for it, despite by modern standards it being a pretty normal voice. I love that this movie is a comedy. I get the feeling that making this a grounded drama or sci-fi film with similar imagery would be legitimately depressing to watch. Like, obviously it's mostly over-the-top ridiculous and plays up on the comedy, but a lot of it resonates with the problems in today's world and it doesn't seem super far-fetched. Alright, on to ratings. IMDb 6.5, Letterboxd 3.0, Rotten Tomato critic score 71%, Rotten Tomato audience score 60%. Personal rating 4 out of 5 stars. It's a crying shame that this movie isn't more well known by a lot of people. I gather that because of some of the references to companies and things like that, they kind of cut down on how wide of a release and how much marketing they did for this movie, so it didn't really get a lot of exposure. It might not be for everyone, but the sense of humor about the potential fate of the world is perfect. A lot of the predictions, even if they are deemed too ridiculous by viewers, are still pretty amusing to think about. Definitely worth checking out if you have a chance. Also, fun fact, the costume designer for this movie was trying to find futuristic shoes for people to wear in the film. She came upon these bizarre-looking shoes made by an unknown small startup company at the time, and they were shooting this in like 2004. When she brought them to director Mike Judge, he was actually concerned that they might be too ridiculous and that realistically he wanted something that he could see people actually wearing in the future, but they ultimately included them in the movie anyway. Those shoes? Crocs. No one in the early 2000s had any reason to believe that they would ever become popular, and my god, I just find that fucking hysterical. Alright everyone, thank you for stopping by, I do appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Bye now.